Okay. All right, thank you everybody for coming to Civics 101, learning how your local government works. Things got a little twisted from the original order I planned them because of people's commitments that were going to come speak. So our guys from the county graciously said they would come speak first, and so we got the floor for them. They're going to tell us how county government works, what all it's about, how things are passed with them, the kind of things we can reach out to them and get taken care of. So, Mike, what do you want to start?
I'd be happy to. Thank you, Professor Wilbur, for having us here.
Good day, Professor. I don't know if you're about that.
Well, I think, so my name is Michael Willis. I'm your Tulsa County Clerk. I'll try to, after looking through some of the materials that Cheryl has put together, I'll talk a little bit about my role as the county clerk, because that's in the mix somewhere there. But then I'll probably let Commissioner Salee talk a little bit about what the commissioner's role is, and maybe we can, after that, kind of field questions and talk about maybe the bigger scheme of county government. Is that
Sounds good.
Okay. So, as the county clerk, I essentially operate as the chief administrative officer of the county government, so I handle some of the back-end finance work and budgeting work for the county. We handle all the accounts payable, payroll, the budgeting. So I have a budget division that essentially acts as the air traffic controller of the county's budget, if you will. And the way our budgeting works is we have all 8 of our county elected officials. Now Cheryl put the 9th one on here on your list. That's the district attorney. He's actually a state elected official at the county level. And in Tulsa, we're one of only a couple of jurisdictions that have a DA that covers only Tulsa County. Most of the other counties have a DA that covers multiple counties. In Tulsa and Oklahoma County, we each have one DA that covers just our county. And you know, probably rightfully so, we've got about 670,000 people that live in Tulsa County. So there's a whole lot of crime and a whole lot of civil issues that the DA has to cover. So we've got one of our own, but he's not on the budget board. The budget board's made up of 3 county commissioners, myself, the court clerk, county assessor, county treasurer Fothergill, who's here, and Sheriff Vic Regalado. So 8 of us make up the budget board. We essentially put the budget together, and then when we have to change that throughout the year or approve or whatever certain things, we meet at least 12 times a year, once a month as a budget board to talk about county finance. So back on the county clerk's office, told you we handle the budgeting, accounts payable, payroll. We also have a financial services division that handles all of the kind of the heavy duty accounting for the county, including the general ledger, all of our assets. Right now we're managing about and accounting for about 15,250 or so assets. An asset could be anything that is, I think the state law now encompasses anything that's $1,000 value or over. So that could be a laptop, like in my office, or it could be one of Commissioner Salee's road graders out in the highway district. So about more than 15,000 assets we have to account for as part of the county's overall finance mechanism. My financial services division also handles essentially all of our financial reporting. So I know this is kind of boring stuff, but it's important in terms of audit standards and our transparency. So we come up with a comprehensive annual financial report every year, several financial reports that give a full picture of the county's finances, where we are. We're audited every year by the state auditor's office. Auditor Bird works hand in hand with us to audit our books and ensure everything's on the up and up. We always have clean opinions with unqualified opinions showing up year after year, so I'm thankful for that. On the other side of my office, I'm the custodian of all the land records for the county. And so if you own real estate in Tulsa County, then my office will have, we should have, every document that is associated with your property, all the way from prior to statehood. So we see a whole lot of customers from that perspective. I have about 16 people who work in that side of my office, so if you're ever trying to research your land records or records of a family member, or if you have to, record a deed, a mortgage, trust document, all those sorts of things, you can come to my office to do that. Since I've been in office, I started in 2017. We've really changed the customer service model at the county clerk's office. A lot of people, when I first ran for this job, said, well, Michael, why in the world do we even have an elected county clerk? Because it is a fairly administrative position. And I said, well, the number one reason I can think of, we're a pretty populous state in Oklahoma. Every county is organized the same way. So just as a side note, talk about the structure of county government. Whether you live in Tulsa, Wagner Creek, Osage, whatever county you live in Oklahoma, there are 8 elected officials for each of those counties, all the same ones that we have. So we're all organized the same. But when asked about the question, why we elect the county clerk, we see probably on average 200 at least customers come through our door per day. We factor in probably another 200 or 300 phone calls per day that come to my land records office. Has anyone ever had a whole lot of success or you felt real good about working with the tag agencies here? I mean, I used to have one that I actually really liked, and I thought they were really good. But I've had horror stories about some of the others. Well, the bottom line is, a lot of those tag offices, the tag offices are a monopoly. You have to go to a tag office to get a driver's license. You have to go to a tag office to update your tag. You have to do this, that, and whatever. Well, they operate those in a lot of cases like a monopoly. They know that you don't get to choose. Well, you can choose which tag office you go to, but you got to go to a tag office to get your stuff. It's the same in the county clerk's office. I tell people all the time, I want you to come to our office when we can help you. I want you to call us when we can help you. Email, whatever. And if you didn't have an elected county clerk, it'd be real easy for us to not care anything about that customer service model. So anyway, I like to, my employees all know that my objective is to be the Chick-fil-A or the Quick Trip of local government any way we possibly can. So, when you say thanks, we say thanks. We tell you it's our pleasure to help you. I mean, we're there to do your work. So anyway, on any given year, we just finished up our last fiscal year, end of June. We recorded about 145,000 different legal instruments that are related to property. So we have a high volume of stuff coming in every day. Some days we have 1,000 instruments coming in a day. We work through those. Some of those come through the door. As customers just walk in to record something. Some of them come through electronic queues. Some of them come in the mail. So we deal with a lot of that stuff in my office. The other thing I want to mention to you about our office is we're essentially the chief record keepers of county business. So when the county commissioners meet, and they meet almost every week on Monday morning at 9:30, my office administers their agenda for them. So if Commissioner Salee or one of the other commissioners or one of their division directors has an item that needs to go on our agenda, whether it's a bill being paid, whether it's a resolution, or whatever it is, they send those documents through my office. We populate those into the agenda. We publish those agendas every Thursday on a normal business week, and then we publish the agenda with all the links available on our website at tulsacounty.org or countyclerk.tulsacounty.org. And you can see the same thing on Friday that the commissioners get to see as part of their agenda backup. So all that stuff is out there. It's part of our transparency initiative. I think maybe there are a couple other counties that do the same sort of thing now, but up until the last year or two, we were the only one in the state of Oklahoma that did that. We put everything out there for you all to be able to see, because after all, I work for you all, Stan works for you all, John works for you all, and we're entrusted with these jobs for 4 years at a time to be your trustee to handle business on your behalf. So the agendas go out that way for all of our public bodies. Budget board's the same way. We meet the third Monday of every month. We publish the agenda the same way. Lots of these other boards, same sort of thing, whether it's the Excise Equalization Board, tax roll corrections, Criminal Justice Authority, all those kind of things. We put all the agenda information out the same way. I do want to touch on, just talking a little bit more about transparency. I mentioned my financial services division earlier. So way back in 2017, I had kind of taken the cue from one of our previous county commissioners, John Smoligo, and had worked with him. Before I was county clerk, I actually worked with the county commissioners. So me and our former county treasurer set out to essentially put the county's checkbook online. So we thought that'd be a good, tool for people who are interested in what the county finances actually look like. We went a few steps further and we implemented something called OpenGov, which is essentially a plug-in to our website, and it plugs directly into our finances. So tonight, when you get home and you can't sleep and you want to see some county finance information, and you get interested about, well, you know what, I want to know how much the county spent on asphalt last year. You can go on, I know you're pumped about this. You can go online and just type in, when you get to the OpenGov part of our transparency portal, just type in asphalt. And it'll come up with a list of all the checks that we've written for asphalt. Same with cars, same with office paper, same with copy machines, laptops, computer equipment, all that kind of stuff. We have all of our dynamic financial data in this program, and it's really cool. You can go as surface level with it as you want, or you can go as deep as you want. And if there's something that doesn't make sense, or you see like a quick story. So before we launched this program, we had about 5 people who lived in Tulsa County that routinely would look at the way we published our purchase orders in the newspaper. So they'd see a purchase order, and they would say purchase order number, whatever it was, and we'll just say that the vendor's name was my new friend Jeremy Moore. Someone would email in and say, hey Michael, I want to know why it is that you pay Jeremy Moore $2,500 on this date. And we would go back and pull the information. We'd send out a copy of the purchase order that said, Jeremy might have been a service provider to us for, computer consulting or something. And we'd send that on. Again, we had about 5 people routinely every week. I could count on getting an email from them about something. And that's great. Information belongs to them. We're spending money on your behalf. This program really virtually eliminated the need for me or any of my staff to need to respond, unless there had been an occasion where someone saw we wrote a check to a name that looked weird or a company that looked strange or whatever, and so they'll still email in every once in a while and say, hey, can you tell me why the county paid this much money for this product or service? And we're happy to do that. But put all this stuff out there that we possibly can, because again, information belongs to you all. So that's kind of an overview of the county clerk's office and how we work. Routinely, I work with commissioners on different policy issues that come up, sometimes personnel issues that come up. And I work a whole lot with my elected colleagues. Treasurer Fothergill is here. He'll probably speak here in a few minutes. And he keeps a separate set of the books. So we essentially have mirrored checkbooks, and that's part of our checks and balances. Every month we reconcile those to ensure that everything lines up. When one of our sides is off a little bit, and sometimes that happens because a check will get deposited or spent on a day outside of the month or whatever, our staffs are really good about getting together and reconciling those and make sure everything works and comes out correctly. A couple other things I want to touch on, and then I'll have Commissioner Salih come up.
You're doing fine.
Things that are going on in my office that are of note, I think, to you all. And I've got stuff here. I don't know, Craig, did you pass on my stuff or just your stuff?
I would be glad to.
No, it's okay. I will here in a bit. But we have, we were talking about this just a minute ago. One of the consumer and property owner issues across the country right now is deed fraud. So if anyone really is up at 2 a.m. Tomorrow morning and you see a LifeLock infomercial or Title Lock infomercial, this is like the most common routine question that I get. Michael, do I need to sign up for LifeLock? I'm worried. I own a house. I'm worried that my house could be taken from a deed thief. Do I need to sign up for LifeLock? And my answer is, well, you could. Sometimes people get defrauded lots of different ways, right? So there are scammers. How many people today have gotten the deal about your DMV bill that's overdue? I mean, I had like a week where I was getting 3 of those a day. So people are relying on many different levels of people to fall for a scam. Deed fraud is no different. However, deed fraud is not all that prevalent in Oklahoma. And the reason why, and I'm kind of getting in the weeds here, but the reason why is because we're an abstracting state. So I'll give you an example that I learned from an organization that I belong to called the Property Records Industry Association. I go to their conference once or twice a year. I know you guys are all jealous sitting here thinking, my God, Michael gets to go to the Property Records Industry Association conference. It is really cool for a nerd like me and some of my staff to be able to go because we stay up on the cutting edge of what's going on. But in some states, some of the hot button ones were Michigan and Arizona. So in Michigan and Arizona here, going back about 10 years ago, this trend of deed theft and title theft really started to take off because people were able to capitalize on the fact that those states are not abstracting states. So when I say abstracting, does everyone know what an abstract is? An abstract is essentially, other than Craddock, who used to be a realtor in his previous life, an abstract is essentially a stack of paperwork that tells the story of the history of your property back to before statehood. So if you own property in Tulsa County, your abstract starts with an Indian allotment deed. Actually, a federal government deed that would have gone to one of the Indian tribes. Tulsa County is either going to be the Muskogee Creek Nation or the Cherokee Nation. And so really your abstract starts with that. Cherokee Nation allotted property at 120 acres per allottee, and the Creeks did 160 acres per allottee. So my abstract, my house goes back to the Creek Nation. Stan lives up in the north part of Tulsa County. His is going to go back to the Cherokee Nation. Everything that happened to that property beyond that is part of the abstract. So, you can just imagine that a piece of property, like pick on Stan, it started with the Cherokees. Well, someone had that land, and then they split it up, and they split it up, and they split it up, and they split it up. And finally it ended up being, what's described on paper and in a legal description as property that Stan owns. So the abstract to Stan's property, it could be that thick with mortgages and liens and satisfactions of mortgages and liens over the years that have happened, all associated with Stan's property. So each one of us that own property in Tulsa County have the same sort of paper trail backing it up. In some of these other states, they only require a menial title examination before a property gets transferred. So what was happening is people would go in, essentially file a fraudulent deed to say that they were the owner and they're going to deed the property to someone else. And then that person that got the fraudulent deed would go out to the Bank of Arizona and say, hey, I just got a screaming deal on this property. It's worth $250,000, but you can see on the deed here, I only paid $50,000 for it. I need to borrow another $100,000. And so a lot of these banks and property owners got defrauded over the years because of the lack of checking and updating those abstracts. And that's really what started this whole issue of deed fraud in the country. In Oklahoma, because we are an abstracting state, you're not going to find a mortgage company unless it's just a good old boy deal or some sort of backroom thing. You have a friend that has some money and they're willing to loan you some money. You're not going to find that. You can't go to Bank of Oklahoma, you can't go to Arvest, you can't go to Gateway Mortgage, you can't go to any of these and say, hey, I got a great deal on this house. Here's my quitclaim deed. Go ahead and give me $100,000 because I'm going to improve this house or this property. It's not going to happen in Oklahoma. But what does happen here is people will target different properties that appear to be vacant. Ones that might have belonged to someone who recently passed away. Or, I'm dealing with this right now. I've got a mom that's pretty sick. She's pretty much homebound. The day is coming when she's going to either have to move in with me or go to an assisted living or something like that. During that whole process, neighbors and different people are paying attention to what's going on in these neighborhoods. And knuckleheads drive through these neighborhoods all the time, trying to find a victim property, if you will, that they could come up to my office and fill out a quitclaim deed, find someone to fraudulently notarize it. Cheryl would not, for sure. Cheryl is a notary. And so, anyway, that's happening a lot. And we're actively working with law enforcement and other people. I'm really not bashful about trying to protect property rights as much as possible. So we'll ask questions, we do whatever we can. By law, I can't be the property police. But we do go to the lengths that we possibly can to ensure that people's property rights and protections are there.
Do you call
and so
in the sheriff if you're concerned about something?
we do, and we have. So I was mentioning earlier before class started that we have a notary no-fly list in my office. So we have, we've found a handful of notaries around town who will notarize just about anything, as long as you pay them the right amount of money. One of them charges as much as $50. Cheryl charges $5, and she does it honestly. She checks your ID, and she ensures that who's signing that document is who's actually in front of them. So that's what a notary is supposed to do. Some people don't follow that. They contribute to stolen car titles, deeds, all that kind of stuff. It's a bad deal. So we've stopped accepting documents that are notarized by certain people in the county because we found that they have fraudulently or negligently notarized things that they probably shouldn't have done. So anyway, but the other tool we employ is we have this recording notification service. So if you do own property in Tulsa County, I would encourage you to take one of these. Sign up. It's pretty easy to sign up. If you have any problems signing on completely remotely, you can call into my office. We can help get you signed up. We're about to rebrand this thing because recording notification service sounds pretty boring and kind of mundane, like any normal government service.
A little nerdy,
So
huh?
a little bit nerdy, and I don't apologize for being a nerd. I am the chief nerd of Tulsa County, but we're going to rebrand this and call it Record Radar. So it's going to be cool. And, I've got a community relations manager in my office. She's come up with a cool logo for it. So we're going to rebrand this. But for now, if you'd like, take one of these and go sign up for our recording notification service. If you or someone else or anyone comes in and records a document related to your property, you will get emailed the same day. So it's pretty cool. And if someone is trying to steal your property, or if there was a fraudulent deed that was filed and recorded, you can call us. Doesn't mean we can just take that document away, but we can work with the assessor's office and the treasurer's office to ensure that the property actually doesn't get changed on the tax rolls. And that's the real key. So doesn't mean you won't have to take some action to, go after the person or work with us to try to get the sheriff's office or a police department to go after these folks, but it does add a huge speed bump to the process, to where, our objective is to keep that process from getting completed. So, I think that's what I want to throw out to start with, and then if it's all right, I'll toss it over to my colleague, Commissioner Salee.
You want to take questions or while it's fresh on their mind?
Yeah, anybody
Yeah, we
have
can
any
do-
questions? for
Yeah,
me?
questions for me about any of this stuff? Sure. Yeah. Or we can do questions all at the end, or if you have none, I guess that means either put you to sleep, or
Did a good job.
I just explained everything so thoroughly that you couldn't possibly have a question. Yes, ma'am?
I was researching several years ago about the title as far as Oklahoma does not sell anything, property based off of if you're illegal in here in the state, in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
So what I researched back was basically the Tulsa University or all these universities that come in here, they've allowed a 5-year deal, and I guess they got it changed or whatever, where they have 5 years to turn around the property, and they'll have to sell it. Well, from what I'm researching and finding out, these people never sell the property. They're coming in, selling it to their other people that come into the universities, or other people that come in as their friends or whatever. So in other words, a lot of property in Tulsa County and Oklahoma per se is owned by illegal immigrants.
Interesting. Well, I don't know dating back 5 years, but I know just a few years ago, the Attorney General's office had sponsored and suggested some legislation to help combat the issue of alien-owned farmland that essentially most of the cases are used for marijuana farming and growing and whatnot. And so the law passed a couple years ago that requires now an affidavit to be recorded along with any sort of land transfer document that essentially says the person is a citizen of the United States. Now, on occasion, we will have people that show up to my office with a deed in hand and we say, hey, we gotta have this affidavit filled out as well. And, you know, if they refuse to do it, we won't record their document. So I know that's happening. I also know that there are a lot of instances where some of these illegal operations going on, whether it's a marijuana farm or just a single family property, they're being recorded and they use agents to do this on their behalf. And I believe, I at least heard that there have been instances where the tax commission and the attorney general have actually gone and investigated some of these folks. So, again.
So where does it stand? I mean, as far as, don't they have to have it's just like, my brother's in insurance and he had his own agency, okay? You had to have a driver's license to be able to drive in the state of Oklahoma. Okay, so what's the beef with all the uninsured drivers and how come all this stuff goes on? It's mind blowing what all is taking place and it's at our citizens or the people that live here, it's money off their back.
Sure.
It's pushing weight on them and it's making us where we have to pay more for mortgages or interest rate, or not even insurance or car insurance or whatever. And I honestly, I've got an old truck. It's a 2004. I have full coverage on it because you know why? Because there's too many out there that are uninsured that I have to continue to have it, and I can't afford to lose that.
Yeah.
And
My mom's car just got broken into a couple weeks ago by some knucklehead, and she has an old, not very valuable car that she had liability insurance on, and so I had to pay for the repair of her car. So I know exactly what you're saying. On the property side of things, all I can assure you is that not one of these is getting recorded in my office without the affidavit being filed. Now, can someone conceivably lie on an affidavit? It's possible. But we feel pretty good about most of the ones that come through our office. The ones that we get via email or by electronic queue and from title closing companies, we feel really good about those. The ones that would try to, possibly pull the wool over our eyes would be the ones that come in via the mail and through the door. I'm not saying we get 100% of them that are on the complete up and up. I feel pretty good about darn near all of them.
Do you have a liaison that works on certain things like this that can come in and say, hey, we got a problem over here. All these people are over here and they're not from here and you see what I'm saying? And it seems like these neighborhoods, they start filtering in, and that's where you have anybody that's looking out or
We have several people on my staff that will, not necessarily liaisons for specific communities or groups or neighborhoods or whatever, but if we see weird things, like I said before, I'll tell people no. I won't record their stuff. Like if someone came in the office that was, it was unquestionable that they were here illegally, or they couldn't provide the proper identification, handle the affidavit and all that kind of stuff, we're just, there's no tolerance for that kind of stuff because I'm on the line to follow the statutes too. And while the average person that walks in my office if they try to, get around the statutes, most likely, no one's gonna come after them. But if I do, or if I allow it to happen, I'm gonna get hammered, and we're recording 145,000 to 170,000 documents per year. I can't stand here and tell you that 100% of those come through and are completely on the up and up. But we do our very best to ensure that, that everything is, so. Yeah.
Thank you.
Anything else, Miss Ma'am?
Yeah, approximately how many acres in Tulsa County is registered under a government entity for ownership?
I don't know the answer to that question, but I could probably find out.
And the major waterways, who has ownership of such in Tulsa County?
Say that again?
Major
For the
waterways.
major waterways, who has ownership in Tulsa County?
Well, I think as far as technical land ownership, a lot of the Creek Nation, the Arkansas River waterway, it's kind of a Creek Nation asset, if you will. I'm not sure you necessarily say they own it, but it's on their reservation land. Of course, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers has a whole lot to say about Keystone Lake and all that kind of stuff. So I would say the Arkansas River watershed is the major waterway that comes through. But of course, we've got, let's see, I'm trying to think, like Lake Yohola is a big section of the city of Tulsa's water that we use for drinking water and water in their system.
In Spavinaw Lake.
Spavinaw is not in the county,
No, they.
but I believe the city of Tulsa, the city of Tulsa gets a lot of water from. Lake Yohola is owned by the city of Tulsa, it's part of Mohawk Park. It just depends on the specific water resource, but I do have one cool tool that you can check out on my website, which is, if you got a copy of my business card, it's on there, countyclerk.tulsacounty.org. We have a service called Locate, and it's misspelled, but it's L-O-C-C-A-T, and it stands for Land Records Organized by County Clerk, Assessor, and Treasurer. And it's not a comprehensive list of that full abstract that I talked about with each land record, but it does have the most recent ownership information. So you ought to be able to go on, and I'll test it when I'm not talking here, but you ought to be able to go on to that, and it's almost, if you ever use Zillow, the map portion of Zillow, you can pan into the map. As you pan in, the property lines will get drawn out, and you can select, you can put your cursor on one of those property lines, and like if you go click on your house, it ought to come up with the ownership information. It will say, my house says owned by Michael Willis, just put a copy of the deed, and a few other things that are available there, so you can use that tool to look at some of the water resources, and they should be pretty accurate. Yes, ma'am.
Surely you've had issues arise from mineral rights whereby a landowner owns the surface and then somebody owns the mineral rights underneath. Do you have any plans to have some type of resolution so that a landowner has control over their property and that their property is not disrupted by any excavation, especially if a person has organic ground or an orchard or different assets, buildings, and so forth?
That's a great question. In Tulsa County, we really don't have a whole lot of mineral activity. There are certain parts of the county that have gas wells, oil wells, all that kind of stuff. Mr. Slee probably knows a little bit more about that than me because of his background in the business. And we have all of the records as it relates to who has mineral rights to what piece of property and whatever. I'm not sure we've ever really had a big overarching issue come up where, at least I've not been made aware of some of those encroachments that would be disruptive in Tulsa County. I'm sure it's happened. just hasn't been something that's come to my attention, probably because there hasn't been, a back and forth about who owns what. It's the records are there in the indexes and in the record to determine who has the minerals versus the surface.
Well, if somebody has a problem like that, who they reach out to?
If they have a problem in terms of like.
Somebody exercising their mineral rights on their property and it's disrupting their organic garden or orchard or whatever, who they reach out to?
Corporation
Commission, and it's a private land, it's a private contract, and so, you can take anybody to court $50, and you sue anybody, and I mean, you certainly could find an attorney that would take that.
But you suggest starting with the Corporation Commission?
Yeah,
Okay.
they take all the complaints for oil and gas instead of one.
All right, thank you.
Thanks for the assist.
Yeah, but
What else?
to prevent that, when you look at purchasing a property and the minerals does not go with the surface, beware, because you don't control what's beneath the surface. So, if that's a concern, I would either research, see who owns the minerals, try to acquire them, or maybe find a different piece of property. But, a lot of landowners, they might be, say, a 10-acre tract that might be a part of a 160-acre lease, and it really doesn't happen much in Tulsa County now as it did in the 80s, but if the market was there to where it's feasible to drill for oil or gas, then they have that right. They've got regulations to follow, X number of feet away from a property line, from a structure, those kind of things. But if they harm the land, and they do have to pay for damaging whatever they use, a road, a well site, those kind of things. But I encourage people, if you're looking to buy a piece of property and it's in an area of oil production, you might try to find one that you have the minerals and the surface.
Which is typically outside the city of Tulsa. City of Tulsa does not allow drilling.
Yeah, city of Tulsa, they can't drill.
Doesn't matter,
Anyway.
There was a mineral deal up at where the old Polo farm is. They had a deal going through the city council meeting last year, I think it was, about the minerals. And they got a humongous hole dug out there, just east of the Costco. If you look over there, it's a tremendous hole. I don't know if that's it. I don't
Those are the
know.
quarries that, there've been a lot of quarries out there where they excavate rock that's up to the surface.
Yeah,
The gravel, concrete has been there, many of them have been there for.
That one has not been.
Is that a new one?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's right there by Bird Creek. I'm thinking, okay, I don't know, Bird Creek and all those creeks right there, you're thinking, okay, this is not probably a good thing for our water source.
They're monitored and managed by the state of Oklahoma, so they have to comply with all the rules and regulations.
And of course, the old dumping ground used to be over there on 56th Street north of 75. And people don't understand that, and even over in Broken Arrow, they're actually building homes where the dump used to be. And I'm like, what is the deal? How much toxins do you think that we can bubble up off this property out here? And you think about it, it's disheartening. It really is.
All right, well, let's go ahead and move on to the next portion, please, and thank you.
All right, good deal. Well, I'm Stan Salee. I'm from Collinsville, born and raised there. And I want to thank Cheryl for the invite last night. And glad to be here. Had to switch a few things, but no, we were good. But really want to compliment you all for spending your time to be engaged, to listen to sometimes we think it's pretty boring stuff, but it's very important stuff. and it affects all of our lives. And the more we all know about it, I think the better. You know, I never wanted to be in politics, or never viewed myself being in politics. I was born and raised, was in Collinsville pretty much my whole life, and saw a vibrant community back in the 60s and 70s, and then went to college, came back, and the Walmart area kind of changed a lot of downtown main streets throughout the country. And so as I got into business, got involved in a Main Street project. Department of Commerce had Downtown Inc., which helps Main Street revive themselves. And so that was my first really induction into civic. I mean, it doesn't have to be a county commissioner. It can be the education school board, or one of these boards I'm going to talk to you about. But being involved and engaged is, I mean, it is critical. We want people to be active and interested in a lot of these positions that are out there. But it went from there to Chamber of Commerce in Collinsville, and enjoyed seeing our town kind of turn around and get more merchants downtown. And we went from 65% occupancy to 95% occupancy. Then I graduated to a city councilor position for 2 years, and then mayor of Collinsville for 8 years. Had no desire to do this. My grandfather did do this in 1938, one of the first Republicans ever to hold District 1 seat. And today, we checked the records back to the 30s, and this is the first time ever that Tulsa County has had 3 Republican county commissioners. And so, and it very well could go to state, back to statehood, could, whenever they were formed, because they haven't searched that. But and to be honest, it could be the first time that we had an entire elected officials budget board that make up all the county government, all Republicans. So that's a point in the right direction. But if you grab this blue sheet here I have, it's the role of county commissioners, and I'm not going to go over all of them, but you know, financial oversight is certainly a priority. You know, we govern county operations, and the administrators and policymakers. I can't tell Michael Willis or John Fothergill what the clerk or the treasurer can do. They're elected officials. They're independent. They have their own employees. They hire. I don't hire. But the 3 county commissioners, we govern at statehood. They divided every county, 3 county commissioners, and divided the population, not land mass, but the population up equally amongst 3. I think in Tulsa County right now, say it's 675,000. That's divided by 3. We all each 3. I have more land mass, more road miles than the others because I have more rural areas in my district. But you know, we all share in the responsibilities. You know, my vote counts in South Tulsa as much as the South County Commissioner votes in North Tulsa County. So we all care about what happens countywide. But yeah, I mean, we do the claims, we pay the bills, but it all goes through Michael Willis's office. We can't spend any money independently. You know, we have to apply for purchase orders, we submit them, and the money has to be there before we can spend a dime. And we don't have access to that money. Michael Willis does, and John Fothergill does, the treasurer. And so there's more checks and balances, and we'll get into that in a minute, than any other form of government, period. But you know, we surplus land. You mentioned the county land. We surplus it. I can't buy it just to buy it, or any other elector, or you can. We put it in sealed bid, and the public, once we evaluate a percentage of the price, we put it out there, and it's a sealed bid, and the public can purchase that land. And we do that quite regularly. But we try to get rid of right-of-ways and all these little pieces of land that the county accumulated or forgot about for 50, 60 years. I mean, and we try to always liquidate that. We're not in the business of holding real estate, nor do we want to be. And so So, you know, and most people think roads and bridges, that is a big part, but it's bigger than other counties than it is in ours. We care a lot about, but we have a lot of other demands that other counties don't. You have county commissioners that run road graders, that run bulldozers. We don't, Oklahoma County doesn't. There's just a lot of other demands that we have upon us. But we each have a district. We're structured to where our county engineer, there's only 2 county engineers in the state, Oklahoma County and Tulsa. So our county engineer kind of runs all the barns. So we don't have the autonomy like other counties do to manage our barn. I mean, am I out there every day or quite often? Absolutely. Are we overseeing projects to make sure they get done? Yes. But we don't manage, hire, and fire any of the employees. The administration part, as you can see, I mean, we serve as the governing body for the county with the other county commissioners. We approve budgets, expenditures, purchases for all county departments. All of that goes weekly. We pay the claims, we pay the bills every week. That's submitted and tied up in a nice bundle by Mr. Willis here, and submits it to us to review and to approve. We call for bond elections. We purchase security contracts as a blanket bond. We appoint members to trust authorities and to all the other boards that we have. We do policy and legislative roles. A lot of people think we make up our own legislation as like a city does on their ordinance. They can vote and change what they do. Well, Michael Willison, we use this as a reference all the time. He wanted to change the margin on how he records his documents, whether he wanted to enlarge it or reduce it. Well, he can't make that decision. We are governed by the state of Oklahoma. We're governed by statutes that are determined by your legislatures. So any little change that we want to make, we've got to go to the legislature. So we are governed. We can't just change our statutes because we want to. So that's another transparency and just another barrier of government having to take additional steps to change, to adopt changes that impact you all. And but we partner a lot with municipal tribes on our road and bridge funds and other things as well. When we partner, our dollars go a lot further, your dollars go a lot further. That's been critically important. We know the governor has had some issues with the tribal members around the state. Well, county commissioners, municipalities, some of these tribal nations, I mean, they're their lifeline. I mean, they put a lot into education. They can put a lot into road infrastructure. And it means a great deal. I've had relationships with tribal leaders from Collinsville all the way up to the county. And it works great for both of them. I have 2 reservations, the Cherokee and the Creek, in my district. And when we talk about the county, you know, there's over 200 and some citizens in my district. Countywide, 675. Out of that 675,000, there's only 35,000 that is in unincorporated Tulsa County. They're actually in the country, unincorporated. And statutorily, that's where we're supposed to focus. I mean, we're set up to help those in the county. That's our responsibility. Now, the taxpayers as well, they do pay their taxes. That we do represent everyone in Tulsa, and Bixby, and Collinsville, and Owasso. And so often we do interlocal agreements with municipalities where we might do the labor and they supply the materials. Again, it's a partnership, and our funding goes so much more and we can get more done. And we can pay those roads because, you know, I think with all that we do, and we'll go over those, you know, the one thing I feel like most of the citizens, taxpayers, they drive on roads every day. And if there's anything they feel like they deserve or should deserve, is a good road. It reminds you when you do hit a pothole. I mean, you know, it's those little things, but they're not little things. I mean, I get those calls, I get those calls all the time. And you know, one thing we've done to improve is we've did a pavement condition index. It's a scanning, a piece of equipment that scans every road mile. Because you get a lot of people thinking, well, you're just spending money over here where, you know this person or that person, whether bigger houses or not. But these road scans, typically done by municipalities, we were one of the first county governments in the state ever to do it. It highlights the roads in red, green, and yellow, and it has different degrees of red. And it gives us guidance of where the really bad roads are. And you know, when I did mine, all of Turley was in red. Every road was red in Turley. And you know, they're taxpayers too. They don't have big traffic counts, but you know, so we made a point to hit, you know, Oakhurst, hit Turley, do some of those rural areas that's been patched for 20 years. And I get it, there's not enough money to go around to fix all the roads. There's just not. That's why these partnerships with Cherokee Nation and our budget board the last several years have came up. They're not required to assist our revenue for tax assessment does not go to county roads. It goes out of, I think it's about $1 billion in ad valorem taxes that the county collects. I think 70-some million goes, pardon Mike? 85 million goes to county government. And that's split between 8 departments. So, you know, it isn't a lot.
The sheriff's office uses most of that.
And the sheriff, well, the sheriff, the jail, I mean, you know, he's got a lot on his plate to take care of. So, but we may do, and we try to make our dollars go further. We also, public safety and emergency management, you know, we support law enforcement. Whatever the sheriff needs, we're obligated to take care of it financially. I mean, state statute. He could buy whatever, I mean, we have a great sheriff, and he's not gonna do that. There are other counties out there, though, that do not get along with their sheriffs, and they can buy whatever they want and put the county in financial difficulty because they can't, because we have to provide for public safety for the sheriff. Yes, ma'am, you have a question?
Between, I don't know who is jurisdiction, I don't know what that would be, but I've told a few people in my area about it, and I've actually contacted Jackie Dutton. Between Garnett and 169, and it's been since they put in that overpass going eastbound, I'm sorry, westbound up to downtown Tulsa from 169. There's a water there, it's up with trees, but there's like I mean, it looks like a water, I mean, it looks like a swamp, literally. Mm-hmm. And it's up with trees, and you can see, tell there's a beaver that's ate one of the trees, and it's dead, and all, and the water is just totally down there. It's just between 412 or 244. It's between. It's okay. We're. Are you?
Over by Holiday Park?
Okay, you know where the police have all their deals at, and then when you go on the expressway, CRC Evans is right there. If you go up that expressway, that on-ramp, you can look down there, and I mean, and it looks like a swamp. Well, I was making wonder, because I wonder if they maybe hit a underground spring. I don't know whose jurisdiction that would be, but when they put those highway piers in, I thought, what if they hit an underground spring? I wonder if this is just runoff from water or whatever. Whose responsibility is something like that? Because that is, I mean, and then they've got the water grass all down through there. And I'm thinking, okay, this is not a good thing. It's between Garnett, 169, and between, you know, it's between the highways, the eastbound, westbound highways, 412 or 244.
It could be ODOT's, it could be, I don't know, I mean, it's just.
Well, and Public Works is asking for 1.6 million for Cooley Creek, and that Cooley Creek is not too far from there. And I'm wondering if that's something that they're doing, because that was what I was concerned about, because East Tulsa never was annexed properly. So I thought, you know, because they never did straighten the creeks and all that stuff that they were supposed to do per state statute.
Right, well,
So-
that's something we can check into and see.
I've
see
already
who
talked
owns
to you
it.
about it, and I was, but I mean, as far as this.
Yeah, yeah, I'm not sure who owns that, but, but we can find out.
I mean, it's bad.
Yeah.
But part of the public safety stuff, you know, we take care of is the, like, 2019 flood of Keystone. I mean, we had commissioners and encampments out there that we set up and were there for the people, worked with FEMA, Vice President came in, I mean, and commissioners were out there daily. I mean, most of the folks here were there to help. And so that's part of what we do as well. Who knew we'd have a pandemic? Managing $250 million that was thrown upon the county to help businesses, help people, help organizations across the county. And, it's a pretty sizable burden, plus our other jobs. And so, Mike Willis, John, and others, we formed committees and got the money out as quick as we could to help those, to relieve those businesses, and did a great job of it. And now we're kind of in an opioid funding that we have due to lawsuits that we're trying to get out to providers that take care of those that are coming out of incarceration that impacts their lives. And
Well, apparently y'all did a much better job of the COVID funds in the city of Tulsa.
well, we pulled the city of Tulsa in immediately. I did, and met with the mayor, and we had their team said, we don't want to duplicate what you're doing. We don't, we want to make sure we're on board. There were some things they wanted to partner in, some things we didn't feel like it was our responsibility. Things like the airport tower. It's a $43 million airport tower that turned into a $100 million airport tower. But the state, the city, Senator Inhofe, and many others, we have to have a secure airport. And that was critical infrastructure for only one few of the cities around the country. There are several, but we're one of the few that they own their own airport tower. Most of it's owned by the FAA. And so.
Who owns it?
Hmm?
Who owns it?
City of Tulsa owns it. And,
Owns the tower?
yeah, most towers are owned by FAA.
I've delivered to that before.
Yeah.
I worked at UPS and I had to deliver to the tower actually, and it makes the air look better.
So, we think we have job description, and then a pandemic happens or opioid funding, and that's just part of what we do, You make accommodations and you get it done. Community engagements, I had 6 different Chamber of Commerce meetings that I go to, don't have to go to, but you want to stay in touch with the communities you represent. And that's from the Hispanic community to Collinsville, Sperry, Skytook, Tulsa, Owasso, and the Hispanic Chamber as well. And plus our citizens' concerns, we get them daily, whatever they are. It's our responsibility to help the citizens and try to find them the help they need.
Question on that.
Yes.
On the citizens' concerns, if we have a concern and we bring it to you and it is determined that it is something under your jurisdiction and not somebody else's, because that's always iffy for us.
Right.
What is the process to go about getting something fixed or changed?
Well, it just depends on what it is. If it's a road issue, it could be roads, it could be flooding, it could be a down sign, or if it's an election issue, we will get you the answer, or we'll find you someone to give you the answer. That's a saying I've always said about public service. It's about removing obstacles, standing in the way of people celebrating their lives. Is it corny? Yeah, but it is your obstacle, and whatever that is, that's our responsibility to try to get you the help. I might not be able to fix it, but I can get you to the DA's office, or I can get you to Michael Willis, or a tax issue, or appraisal issue, or if it's in my jurisdiction, we can help there. It could be inspections.
So whatever it is, you'll help us figure out whose jurisdiction it is and then
Oh,
where to go.
that's what we do. Yeah, that's what I do. You know, and on the organizational chart I provided you, you know, what's under the BOCC, we have our IT department, our HR department, court services, administrative services, communications, juvenile detention, building ops that take care of all of our buildings, all of our park buildings. And by the way, we're the only county in the state of Oklahoma that has a park system. We're not statutory required to do that. It's something they did probably in the 50s. And Tulsa County residents seem to be very proud of the park system that the county has delivered. And we continue to invest in that. It's quality of life. You know, when times get tough, and, you know, we'll all have these ups and downs. They've maintained their parks, and it's, no, yeah, we love them, but my priorities are the roads and bridges and public safety. And, you know, we keep that in mind at all times. But inspections, not every county does an inspection when you build a house. I mean, you can get out there and hire anybody and build it however you want. Now, are you comfortable with that? Maybe, you know, depends on who's building it, if you know them. But we inspect everything, you know, from the footing on up, and make requirements. Even on our developments, we are involved in making sure that they're done correctly. Social services, real quick about that. I think it's at statehood when county government was formed. You might not know this, and I don't want to be taking up any more of your time, Michael, but county governments, every county had a poor farm. And if you don't know what a poor farm is, it was a communal location. People lived there. People had crops, cattle, sheep. They made butter. And where was it? It was at La Fortune Park.
Really?
That was the
I would
area.
have never guessed that.
Yeah, and there's still some foundations there that are still there, the remnants. And because there wasn't a lot of roads going to the towns, or wasn't a lot of towns. I mean, we were the arm of state government. People that needed somebody, it was the county. And that's who helped the people that needed help. And so some lived there, some came from other areas to get butter and eggs and those things and go back home. But that's what we did for decades. And then as the federal government kicked in and there were more of federal relief, food stamps and all the other federal assistance that came around.
Something never should
People
come.
actually.
No, we should have kept it the old way.
Well, I should have kept the old way, but our role diminished in providing those services. So I think it was in 1970, Commissioner Lou Harris, Collinsville, great man, he was in there 25 years.
Wow.
But, you know, they built a social service building over at Charles Page, and we have been operating that ever since. Short-term housing. It's people, yeah, that are,
For families.
it's emergency shelter. It's people that, you know, I mean, I say this all the time, you know, we take for granted, you know, if you have a transmission go out, you know, that you can just go fix it. Well, not everybody can go fix it. And it's either maybe your apartment or your vehicle or your job, you know, something's gonna give. And so people, you know, do have bad luck. They might not have the network to stay with somebody. And so we provide that. Typically 3 months we allow them, do a contract with them. They have to, you know, go with us. We try to get additional housing for them. But we have a commercial kitchen, we have education, Tulsa Public Schools comes in, and we have a pharmacy that gives free medicine out to people that qualify and have been doing that for years. And eyeglasses, I mean, we provide a tremendous amount of relief for those that need the help. Now, we don't want this, you know, we don't want to enable them. We want them to, you know, find them a job, or if that's the issue, or find them a house and get them set in a better position. Yeah.
If I might, on the social services thing,
Yeah.
if any of you are on Facebook and you want to see what, at least what I believe governments ought to be doing to give a hand up to people, follow the Tulsa County Social Services. They recently posted a story about a woman, a single mom, who came to us with a litany of issues, much like what Commissioner Salee mentioned. They worked with her, helped her create a savings plan, sort of a step-by-step on what she needed to do to do, get from point A to point B. And I think as of maybe last week or something, they were able to place her into an apartment at the Y Lofts downtown. She has the dream of being a restaurant owner, and, you know, I mean, it worked the way it's supposed to work. Lindsay House does the same sort of,
Yeah.
a very similar kind of thing. We're big fans of the Lindsay House. Correct.
Other things we do, thank you, Michael, appreciate that. Yeah, and we're real proud of our social service. They just do a phenomenal job and really help people. It's families. You know, I've been in there at Christmas time, and, you know, these are concrete walls, 6 by 10, I mean, they're not much, I mean, but clean bathrooms, I mean, it's nice, but, you know, to see the kids having to go through that, and the families having to go through that, it's tough. And, you know, we have holiday events for them and just try to make them feel at home, because, you know, having to be uprooted and stay somewhere like that, you know, nobody wants to be in that position. So, but other offices and appointees that you might be aware of, you know, that we work with commissions and councils, the district attorney, district courts, election board, excise and equalization board, Expo Square. I could talk all hour about that. The juvenile bureau, OSU extension, we provide the building. The courthouse, we provide the building. The state, that's where the courts and the judges, they are housed there. And then the public defender as well. There are all kinds of other county home finance authority. We have a function right now with several, 20, 30 million for home purchases, where we help out on your down payments and low interest rates, and we have that ability for those that qualify to get them in a house for less expensive money than they can do in the private sector. So that's, and we have area banks that use us as a lender. Most people don't know this, and when the rates were low, we couldn't compete. It's not we can always do that. It's when the market's right, then we can come in and get the money at less expensive rates and pass it on to people. But the industrial authority, I mean, a lot of the bond issues with school districts and stuff, we're the conduit that they do all their financing through. So that's what we do there. We have park boards, public facilities authority, the vision authority with the old vision tax. We have drainage districts, INCOG, criminal justice authority, that's the jail, county juvenile justice authority, the health department used to be called the Tulsa County Long-Term Care Management, now it's City County Health, and the Metropolitan Environmental Trust. And so, real quick, meetings that we go to, people wonder, well, you're always in a meeting and you're not in all the time. I'll just give you a quick, and these aren't important, these are actual meetings that the commissioners, I don't go to every one of these. A lot of it depends if you're the chair, you go to more of these than others, but the Board of County Commission we have every week. The BOCC Management Conference once a month, Budget Board once a month, Budget Board hearings, we have Excise Board, Equalization Board, Fiscal Committee, Grants Committee, which was Tulsa Cares and the opioid, Drainage District 12, INCOG Board meetings, River Parks Authority, Tulsa Area Emergency Management Agency, Tulsa City County Library Commission, the Criminal Justice Authority, Employees Retirement System, Industrial Authority, mentioned a minute ago, Tulsa County Public Facilities Authority, runs Expo Square, Tax Roll Corrections Board, United Way Campaign, some go to that, Tulsa County Vision Authority, the Tulsa County Regional Chamber of Commerce, general meetings, and then Tourism Board, Futures Board, One Voice Agenda. So, those are just some of the meetings we try to fit in, can't always make them all, but well, it is. And then appointees, something that, if you're interested and wanting to get engaged in government, I mean, come to our website, and there is a place there that you can show your interest in serving for the county. And there's a way for Tulsa, Berry Hill Fire District Board of Directors. I'm not saying every one of these you can, but there's a Board of Adjustments, Community Action Project, Early Settlement Mediation Programs. I mean, it goes on and on and on, but into another page. Wow. So there's a lot of things. And one thing when I get into public service, you know, it wasn't against anything. It was really to follow your heart and what you want to try to accomplish, what interests you. And so whether it's a city council position or a library board commission or position or education, I mean, find that area. It could be the state house, state senate, but find what your passion is. One thing, we had a very well-known, nationally known president of a university down the road in Bartlesville. And we probably know who that is.
Yes, we
And
do.
I mean, just a great mind, great person, and he wanted to be a county commissioner. And he became a county commissioner. And it was like, why? It just didn't seem to fit. And I think it was, he could talk for himself. But within a year and a half, he resigned, and it was all like, you know, it wasn't what he expected. So
Not at all.
understand, you know, where you want to engage in civics and to better your communities and, you know, follow your heart and try to make a difference. And, you know, I served in my community for over 20 years. I mean, it's a lot of volunteer hours. It's not about a paycheck. It's you know, putting the time in. I know John has as well in his community and different organizations. I mean, you do it because you want to make things better, and then work hard because we need people like you doing that. And we appreciate you being here tonight. Thank you very
Thank you.
much. You bet. And any questions for either one of us? Pothole. Yes.
What if, Okmulgee owns this side of the street and Tulsa owns this side of the street, and the road, when it rains a lot, floods completely, you can't drive through it, or has potholes all the way through?
Well, state statute, we have boundary roads between Tulsa County and Okmulgee County. And the state statute says, I take care of my half, you take care of your half. Now, is that practical? No, but that's where the commissioners need to be big boys and girls and work with your fellow county commissioners and plan on addressing those flooding issues or resurfacing the road. And so that's what we do. Yeah.
As I alluded to earlier, before I was county clerk, I worked for the county commissioners. I live over on the west side. And I'm literally a half mile from Creek County.
Yeah.
And so we have a pretty good working relationship, all of our District 2 county commissioners. And I can't speak for Stan, I know he works with the Osage, and Washington County Commissioner, and Rogers County. But between Tulsa and Creek County, 33rd West Avenue is the borderline road for several miles at least. And we've had a pretty good working relationship over there. So kind of what Stan says, depends on the commissioners, depends on the area, but generally, I found they're pretty good about working together. But if you have a specific area in Okmulgee County, then we'll blame that on Commissioner Kelly Dunkerley, because he's our Tulsa County Commissioner in the south part of the county. But
And a lot of times, I mean, it's up to budget. You know, well, I might have it in my budget, but that county commissioner doesn't. So you got to work that out. You got to plan it and get it remedied. And that's where it's good to know tribal partners to help out and come in to work with you. Yes, ma'am.
So I was wondering on the social services,
Yes.
is this for people who are already residents here in Tulsa? Or is this also like for people that move here from God knows where and they decide just to move here and move off the government? They have to live here for a certain amount of time or?
No,
Or is it?
we limit, I mean,
Squatters or do we help everybody?
yeah, we limit to 3 months. Now, sometimes it goes over, but we try to encourage people to find employment, and we have removed people from the facility. If they're not making an attempt to help us, you know, find housing, I mean, we do a lot of the legwork. But if it's employment and they've got job interviews that we found for them and they don't go to them, I mean, it comes to a point we just said we can't house you anymore. You're not living up to your end of it. And so,
Are we getting a lot of immigrants
Not really, no, not that I've been aware of.
Most of those are coming through Catholic Charities and they're provided all that stuff anyhow, so they don't have to rely on government for that.
And
Exactly.
And you know, with opioids and the pandemic, you know, another problem that we're having right now, and we all know about it, is the homeless, which I think I'm supposed to say unhoused, I don't know. But it's those that
That
are.
is the correct term.
We don't do politically correct.
Okay.
That's
I
the
just
new
cover my
lane-
bases here.
That's the updated lingo.
But it's not a funny subject, and, you know, I'm, you know, disappointed, that it's no one's fault, but it's got to this point, and it seems to be getting worse. We did use some of our ARPA dollars to help 2 different facilities build tiny homes, and one's doing quite well, the other's getting ready to get kicked off. Very proud of that. We need housing for people, and you know they can't afford much, and so you know some are taking advantage of those, and some of those needs to be incarcerated. Some needs medication, they need treatment, they need help to get back on their feet, and others might need to be in institutions that we used to have that we don't have anymore, and so it's nothing that the rest of the country's not dealing with. But, you know, they're on the levees, and they're in Jinx and South Tulsa, they're in North Tulsa. It's happening, and we need strong leadership to get a hold of this and personally eliminate panhandling and make people accountable of their actions of not loitering, and our police departments to you know, deal with those folks that are breaking laws. And we need to enforce the laws. And sheriff doesn't want to do it. I shouldn't say that. Sheriff will do whatever he has to do. But we have to work together with the city of Tulsa and all of our other municipal partners to have a game plan to how to improve.
The sheriff is not equipped to be mental health facility.
And that is the mental health facility right now, is in the David L. Moss jail.
It's terrible.
And we had to do a special bond election, what was that, John, 5 years ago, or 7, for a mental wing, mental care wing at the jail. And
2014 is when we had the election.
and it's full, it's full. And so we got doctors and, yeah, I mean, and if you knew the cost to have that medical attendance there, it's astronomical. And we all have to pay for it, unfortunately, because, I mean, there's nowhere for these people to go. And, you know, a lot of these people might not be breaking the law in there if they had help in other areas.
Very true.
And so it's just a vicious cycle, and,
Not enough resources.
and, you know, is it the county's responsibility? Well, I think it's everyone's responsibility to make a difference. Do we have the funding? I mean, nobody wants to, you know, was in, the Tulsa Chamber had a deal in Austin, Texas, and they had all kind of, they were flush with cash, and they had all kinds of mental health, homeless facilities and directors, and they told us that they're not trying to reduce it, they're just trying to keep it from increasing. And any given night, they had 5,000 people in downtown, homeless, in Austin, Texas.
My God.
And I just got back from Philadelphia from a conference, and it was unbelievable. The people we had to step over, the condition they were in. I just thought, not Philadelphia, but it was horrible, horrible. So, anyway, any other questions?
I have a question.
Okay.
Who's responsible for the incentives that are offered for people to come and work here from other states?
That's
Tulsa
private, that's
Remote, and that's a GKF, a George Kaiser Family.
George Kaiser County.
It's private.
Yes.
Yes.
But it's not a county initiative.
No,
Okay.
it's solely funded by George Kaiser Family
Yes.
Foundation.
John, you have
That's it.
something to say to us?
So, I wasn't, I apologize, you had asked me to come to this, and I had it already on my calendar, so as attending, and not presenting. I can present if you'd like, but.
Yeah, just for a couple minutes, yeah.
Okay, I'll give my real quick rundown. I'm John Foligo, I'm your Tulsa County Treasurer. I'll come up front real quick.
Yeah.
Uh,
John's kind of a surprise guest because we were told he had another commitment, but he came anyway. I
No.
appreciate you.
So I thought they were asking me to do something else, and I already had this as a
This was
Timmy.
the other commitment
Yes,
you had on
yes.
that.
So just wires crossed there, I apologize for that.
No, that's no problem.
John Foligo, I'm the Tulsa County Treasurer. I collect your ad valorem property taxes. As Stan had mentioned earlier, we collected almost $1 billion this year in property taxes. Of that $1 billion, Tulsa County only keeps about $85 million. The rest of it gets distributed out throughout the county. The vast majority of it, about 56, 58%, depends on what school you live in, goes to K through 12 schools. And that's through a couple different mechanisms. There's some in the state constitution that's required to go through there. There's the 4 mil, which is a state statute that would come through. And then there's also the bonds that the schools pass to, and usually that's for the big capital items such as building a building or buying school buses or something like that. Those are the bonds that the school passes. And so I collect all that money from the taxpayers of Tulsa County, the property owners, and remit that to the schools, about roughly 55%, just depending on what school district. And then I also give some to Tulsa Tech, Tulsa Community College. That's roughly about 15% of the money I collect goes to Tulsa Tech and Tulsa Community College. And that's to pay for the Tulsa Achieves and Tulsa, that's where the citizens of Tulsa County said we'd like to throw in some of our property tax to allow any citizen in Tulsa County to go to TCC for 2 years, okay? And so that's which property taxes go for. It also goes to fund the health department, and that's anywhere from, sending out immunizations or checking on babies to make sure that they've got the formula and the mothers know how to, take care of their babies. All that money goes from property taxes that I collect, and then I remit that to the health department to go out and do that. The library. And, when I was a new parent, I got that little statement from the treasurer that tells you how much of your money went to the library, and I got that bill the first time, and I remember it said $67, and I thought, man, that's a bargain, because at that time I had 2 young kids, and we went to the library every week, and we got a stack of books that I could read to them. Back then, got CDs, everybody remember CDs, right? Got CDs, got DVDs, and I thought, man, I'm paying like $1.50 a month, or a week, to get all these books and CDs and DVDs. I thought it was a bargain. So I collect that money for the library as well, and then remit that to them. And the libraries are in every single city in Tulsa County, so that's great to have that distribution as well. I also collect for a couple fire districts. There's one in Berry Hill and one in Tulsa. And then I also collect for the drainage district. And so if you live in West Tulsa or Sand Springs behind the levees, that cost is distributed to all the property owners behind that levee. And that's roughly about $2 million that I collect for them. I also collect a little bit of money that's you would never think of, but farm implements sold in Tulsa County. They have to have a tax stamp when they sell that, and they come and buy that from my office. Of that money, 98% goes to the local school, wherever the dealer is. So there's a John Deere dealer here, or Kubota tractor dealership there. Those school districts will get that money. Anytime a new car is sold in Tulsa County, they have to come to my office and get a tax stamp as well. And again, most of that money goes a portion to the schools. A little bit goes to the Oklahoma Tax Commission. And that's just a leftover. It was a intriguing way to make a little bit of money for the schools. In the vast scheme of things, it's a drop in the bucket for schools. It doesn't really matter to them at this point. A school, say in Enid, Oklahoma, that has the largest P&K John Deere tractor dealership, it'll mean a lot to them. But for Tulsa County, it doesn't mean that much. We get a lot more in property taxes than we do in any kind of stamps. I also collect what's called business personal property taxes. And so if you own a business, you probably already know about those. And so it's for like the desk and the chairs and the refrigerators and the inventory in your business. You pay a property tax on that. You used to do personal property taxes, so like your TV and your sofa and your bed in your house, you pay property taxes on that. And that was done away in the 80s because everybody's like, I already paid sales tax on this, I don't want to pay property tax on it. So they bumped up the millage that they put on property taxes by 0.3% and did away with that. I wish they would do that for businesses as well, but they haven't. That's a state legislature deal. Again, as Stan and Michael have mentioned, we are bound by state statutes. We can't decide what we do, and you should find the exact same policies in our county that you do in all the other 76 counties in Oklahoma, okay? And so back in the day, 1907, when they made all the counties, the whole idea was to have a little bit of state government close to you. And if you'll notice, the counties are roughly the same size, and almost always the county seat, which is where the courthouse is almost always right smack dab in the middle of the county. And it's not always the largest city either. And you would think, well, why is that? That doesn't make any good sense. Well, back in the day, the whole idea was they wanted to make it easy for somebody to go into town and take care of business and get back on their horse in one day. So that if you wanted to go file a lawsuit or you wanted to go file a land title, that you would get on your horse, ride into Tulsa. So say you lived in Jinx or Liberty Mounds, and you got on your horse and you would ride into Tulsa. You could file your documents or whatever, turn around and ride your horse back home and be home by the time the sun went down. That was the whole idea of having counties. And it's so that you didn't have to go 7 days from Boise City to Oklahoma City to file your land documents, and then go 7 days back from Oklahoma City back to Boise City out of the Panhandle, right? That was impractical, and so that's why counties were born. And it's what we are is a little bit of the state government that's available to you as citizens of Tulsa County. I mentioned Boise City. That county has less than 10,000 population. They still have 8 elected officials, and they still do the exact same things that we do. They just do it on a real small scale, and we do things on a real big scale. So whenever I go to a meeting of other fellow treasurers, they all are like, ooh, it's Tulsa, or ooh, it's Oklahoma County. And I'm like, look, we all do the exact same thing. We are all responsible to our, the people in our counties. And at the end of the day, if we don't do a good job, we're out the door just the same as you guys. And the only thing is we have to do 250,000 tax statements, whereas that county might do 2,500 tax statements. So it's the exact same thing, just smaller scale. I think you'll notice a trend in our backgrounds is first we started volunteering, and then second we started with our cities. Both Michael and I worked for the city of Tulsa at one time. Stan was the mayor of Collinsville. I actually lived in Sand Springs and became a city councilor and a vice mayor of Sand Springs, and that was all unpaid. You did have to run for election, but it wasn't paid. It was because I felt a calling, a need to help my citizens, and that's what I showed up to do. And so if you feel that calling, I would tell you, number one, go volunteer. There's plenty of boards and authorities and commissions that need people that are interested, that care about their local government. And let me also say, I've been asked, do I ever have any aspirations of going to Oklahoma City or Washington, D.C.? Absolutely not. And the reason is, local government's where it's at. 95% of the engagement that you have with government are going to be on the local level. Is my street paved? Do I have water when I turn on the faucet in the morning? Is my trash truck going to come by on Wednesday this week and pick up all my stinky garbage? Those are the things that affect you day in and day out. Is that traffic light working? Can I go to the library and pick up books? Can I go to the health department and get some medications that I might need? those things affect your life day in, day out. You know, what happens in Oklahoma City, it'll affect you a little bit. What happens in Washington DC, it'll affect you a little bit as well. But your day in and day out is local level. So I would tell you, volunteer first, get involved with your city or the local municipal government and see where you can fit in. There's gonna be a place for you. There's plenty of need. You know, when the city of Sand Springs goes and tries to find somebody to fill a council seat, it's hard sometimes to find people that'll even run. Because it is a volunteer position. It does take up your time. I mean, the city council, we met every other week, and then we had committee meetings throughout the week that we had to go and spend our lunch hour to try to figure out what was gonna happen, so that when we went to the meetings, we were smart enough to figure out how to actually vote, okay? It's a lot of time, it takes a lot of effort, but it's rewarding. I'll take calls from anybody about anything, including City of Tulsa stuff, including City of Sand Springs stuff, because I want to help people. And at the end of the day, I want, like Stan said, my goal is to get government to help you get stuff out of the way to enjoy your life. I mean, that's the whole idea of government, is to help you get stuff out of your way to make your life better. And it's rewarding to do that thing, to help people out, to make them smile. And, you know, can I help everybody? Absolutely not. And you gotta have that mindset as well. There's, you know, when I worked at the city council, the first thing I would tell everybody is, I will work as hard as I can to get you happy, but I can't guarantee it. You know, and so that's, if you have that servant mentality, get involved, serve your community, help your fellow neighbor, and it's rewarding. That's all I've got. Unless you guys have any questions.
I do, and you may or may not be able to answer this.
Sure. We're
talking about the different county seats. So why is it that Creek County has two?
So they only technically have one.
Well, I mean, kind of, they got two courthouses. And
Yeah.
Courthouse in Bristow, courthouse in Spalding.
Yeah.
And so,
It's bizarre.
well, I mean, we can do the same thing in Broken Arrow. Broken Arrow is almost big enough that it needs, the court clerk actually has a satellite office in Broken Arrow because, again, we want to be effective to the people.
So
There's over 100,000 people.
for Creek?
Well, there's so many people that live in Sapulpa, that need was there to have a court system there in Sapulpa and a
Town of
holding
Kelvin has
facility.
night court.
Yeah, and
Their own
so
little town.
it's all, it all has to go through Bristow. It's all sanctioned by Bristow, but yes, that's the reason why.
Okay.
And it's just, you know, that's the way Sapulpa grew. It became bigger than Bristow, and so the need to have a courthouse there became bigger than the need to have one in Bristow. Bristow, it has to have one.
Yeah.
Sepulpa, they decided to have one.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. Thank you all for coming out.
Thank you.
Your time is most important. Thank you. I appreciate this meeting.
Thank you.
So anybody have any other questions about how county government runs? Okay,
I would say one thing, I think you all have our guide to county government. It's got a picture and a short description of each office. So the assessor was not here tonight, the sheriff is not here tonight, the court clerk is not here tonight. What they do is outlined in the book a little bit, but one of my favorite things about county government, at least in Tulsa, is that, and John said, John is really good about mentioning this at meetings. If you call John's office and you want to talk to John, they're going to put you through to John because his staff's been told to put you through to John. Same thing with me. If you call and want to get a hold of us, you can email, call. Anybody here wants my cell phone number, I'm happy to give it. I don't print it on my cards because we sometimes have some sovereign citizens that come up in my office. They get real mad at me about not recording some of the documents, but I'll be happy to give you all my cell phone number. We really are pretty accessible, and if you have something, call any one of us. Assessor Wright, Court Clerk Newberry, Sheriff Regalado, and the other two commissioners. I mean, I'm pretty much vouch for all of them. They'll call you back. So.
and I can vouch for Stan, I messaged him on Facebook last night.
That's pretty cool.
At 9:17.
Yeah.
And you get on to me.
And I got
Hey,
I got a small
I had an agreement with Kelly Dunkerley,
I
and
know.
unfortunately, I have not been able to get hold of Kelly Dunkerley over the past few days. So I reached out to Stan and said, "Help, can you come?" And he said, "I'll be there." Appreciate it,
Organized,
Stan.
wonderful organized.
On major highways, I was just wondering, Highway 75, wouldn't that be a major highway?
It is.
Not enough traffic, or?
No, it's a major highway. It's controlled by the State Department of Transportation.
Okay, so
Um,
it's a separate.
And I'll say one misconception, you know, it used to be Tulsa County Health Department, Tulsa County Library, and then it went to city, county. We do not have a majority of the board that makes up those counties, or makes up those organizations. I mean, it's pretty much the city of Tulsa. So we have, I know on the library board, I think the chairman sits on that board. That's Commissioner Lonnie Sims sits on that board this year. There's appointments that we have, but you know, we don't control those. I mean, people think that, well, it's a county health department. Well, it used to be. I mean, it's still a county health department, but it's a city county, and so.
So you're basically saying in every joint venture that you have with the city's got the majority.
Yeah,
Okay.
except for river parks where they like
Well,
us.
the city has,
Well, they have majority.
Majority.
They just want you to do the majority of the
Yeah,
work.
they want a lot.
they want the majority of the money from us, but
Yeah.
In the work.
They want you to do most of the work.
And that was a question I had, is because health department, there's also health department state-wise. So it's also broken down by the county, so the county helps support what the state does, or does that work? Because aren't they connected, aren't they the same?
The health department's funded by ad valorem, separate ad valorem.
Most of it's through ad valorem, but they also get federal grants that come through the state health department. And so that's federal funds that go through the state. The state sometimes chips in, and some of that will come to the Tulsa Health Department as well. But the vast majority of their operating funds are from ad valorem payments.
Okay.
Yeah, and as we all noticed in 2020, 2019, each health department makes their own decisions about their own mandates, masks or vaccines or whatever. They are independent in that, and the state did not make that decision. The individual county health departments or city county health departments did.
But still, you know, if there's an issue with the health department or the library, I mean, feel free to contact us. We know all the people involved there and do not mind voicing our concerns, whatever it might be. Yes.
Appreciate
We
that.
have one of the best
I was
libraries.
always wondering why, when you go on I-24, there's no ramp to go 169 south. Like, there's no ramp.
Oh,
So is there like,
Actually, they used to have a ramp there, and they took away, that would be a ODOT, the State Department of Transportation.
Who does that?
ODOT.
State?
No
Is
doubt
that
makes some
ODOT?
questionable decisions on a regular
So pretty
basis.
much every highway that comes through Tulsa County, so I-44, 5164, the BA, 67 way down south that runs between like Kiefer and Bixby,
412.
412, they're all controlled by the State Department of Transportation.
69.
So sometimes our infrastructure runs into theirs, so there could be a county road or a city road that runs into a highway, and there might be a little bit of joint oversight there, but almost everything that's considered a quote-unquote highway is handled by the State Department of Transportation.
How does that work
On the
with?
road, some of the lanes are, it kind of looks like they're not supposed to use them or something, because there's like bicycle, like it's a two-lane each way, and then one lane you have bicycle signs on it, and then there's a huge sign next to that, and a bicycle or could take the sidewalk, because it's simply, there's never ever a bicycle there. Yeah. But, what is the deal, can that be made into like 11, like street 11? Route 66, a lot of that is just like, kind of one lane each way, and it needs to be, and there's a perfectly good sidewalk.
The bike lanes, I'll speak for
That was our
myself here.
illustrious mayor.
I have almost nothing to do with roads in any part of the county as part of my job, except for, as a member of the budget board, I generally support the commissioner's ability to do more road work. But the bike lanes in the city of Tulsa is one of my personal pet peeves. It's almost freaking nobody bikes on those bike lanes. Typically, if you see bicyclists in downtown Tulsa, they are using the actual traffic lane that is set up for an automobile.
Yep.
Now, and, I mean, I'm probably still on camera, the bicyclists are gonna be mad at me. They almost never follow the traffic laws, almost never.
Yep.
So I personally complain because it's actually impacted our business at our building. We have bicycle lanes that run right next to our building. Again, almost no bicyclists use them, but it impacts our customers because
Nowhere to
they're trying to
park.
figure out how to park.
Yeah.
Some of them that park on the street have a difficult time parking on the street because of the bicycle lanes. Anyway, I emailed the previous mayor several years ago about it, to no avail. Previous city councilor, my former city councilor over in the west side, and, you know, I think a good bike strategy would be good, but just putting a bike lane in almost every street in
And then
town
making the parking where you have to back
makes no
into
sense.
it. Where on earth
Sidewalks in town.
are you able to back into a parking spot without obstructing traffic?
Well, the bicycle
Insane.
lanes, or even the bicycles on our lane for cars, instead of driving single file, they spread out, so they take up the whole lane,
Yep.
the whole road, and then, you know, we have horses that we drove our buggy with and everything, and we were required to have a triangle
Yeah.
on the back of all of our vehicles. And I think the bicycles should have a triangle.
And if you can